One of the most effective and swift Russian military operations is being marked today. 30 years ago, Soviet commando units successfully stormed the presidential palace in Afghanistan's capital. The success allowed the Soviet government to topple the Afghan leader, but didn't prevent the two countries from fighting a long and bloody war.
Today, 30 years ago, under the cover of dark, a convoy of tanks slowly started making its way up this mountain pass. Inside were Russian special forces and the future of the Afghan leadership. It wasn't long before they came under fire. 3 days earlier, more than 5,000 Soviet troops had been airlifted into the country. Telecommunication links were cut. The capital was isolated. Aware of imminent danger, President Hafizullah Amin moved his officers to the Dar ul Aman Palace. He thought he'd be safe there. But on December the 27th, 3 Soviet battalions slowly started advancing towards it. Operation Storm 333 had begun, and Zenith and Alpha commandos would later remember it as one of their most successful. The operation lasted just 43 minutes.
In each vehicle we had 4 to 5 Alpha officers, then the crew of the vehicle, the commander, the driver and the gunner, and in addition to that we had Afghans riding with us. In my car we had the future Afghan defense minister. I assigned one of my men to look after him. I told him, guard this man with your life. No matter what happens, he must stay alive.
Dressed in Afghan army uniform, Muslim battalion members looked and sounded like locals. The battalion consisted of citizens from the Soviet Central Asian republics. Their task was to provide cover for the forces involved in the assault on the palace. KGB reports at the time accused the men of getting rid of opponents, pretending to be loyal to Moscow, and seeking partnerships with Pakistan and China. Top Soviet leaders suspected he was a CIA spy, and they allegedly had the papers to prove it. Afraid that the new communist regime was about to be toppled, Moscow decided to install a man of their choice. Amin had to go.
To understand this massacre, you have to see we were shooting to protect our fighters because the gunfire was terrible. The enemy was shooting from the roof, from the windows, and they were protected by the walls, while our fighters were on open ground and could be easily shot down. What I still remember, and what impressed me, was the number of soldiers defending the palace, the number of our enemies.
Balashov was wounded. There were 24 of them up against 300 Afghan palace guards. 2 Alpha and 3 Zenith commanders were killed, while as many as 200 Afghan security and military personnel died, including Amin and his son. Meanwhile, the city was abuzz. The radio crackled with news that Amin's palace had been stormed. Muhammad Akbar and other opposition army officers were in hiding.
We got information that tonight something will happen. Amin called all of his commanders to this palace, as he wanted to be prepared to command all his troops against the Russians. But the Russians had already recruited his cook, who put poison in the food. Amin was still alive when the Russian special troops got to him. Later, when we came here, we couldn't find any of his remains.
Amin was the 3rd Afghan president to be toppled in just 20 months. Babrak Karmal, supported by the Soviet Union, became president. The Soviet-Afghan war had effectively begun. Paul Islia, RT, Kabul.